You're welcome to our 90th lesson in science. I hope you're doing well. Now, which components of air is used to support burning? And then B, extinguish fire. Which component of air is used to support burning? And which one is used to extinguish fire? Alright, of course, it is oxygen that supports burning, and carbon dioxide helps extinguish fire or put out fire. If you have been able to score this question fully, thumbs up, you have done well. What do we have today? Today we are looking at under cycles earth science, and we are looking at how to demonstrate that air supports burning. Air supports burning. Alright, before we start, we'd like to revise air, its composition and uses. What is air? Of course, it's one of the key words that has the simplest definition in science, apart from matter. And what is air? Air is a mixture of gases, as simple as that. Air is a mixture of gases. What are the components of air and their proportion or percentages? Shall we look at them? Of course, we have nitrogen. Nitrogen occupying 75% of air, followed by oxygen, 21%, carbon dioxide, 0.03%. Water vapor is variable. In other words, the percentage in a particular volume of air differs. Then we have rare or noble or inert gases, also variable. Then, of course, we have dust particles. Now, what are the uses of some of the components of air? Let's look at some of the uses of components of air. Of course, components are very useful. Let's take nitrogen. By saying that nitrogen as a gas is fixed into the soil by what you call nitrogen fixing bacteria, like what we call azotobacter bacteria. Now, they fix nitrogen into the soil to improve the soil fertility. So nitrogen is an important plant nutrient. Now let's check out oxygen. Of course, oxygen has a number of functions of importance. 1. Oxygen helps support burning, or what we call combustion. Without oxygen, burning will never take place. Let's take note of that. Apart from that, oxygen also sustains plant and animal life through respiration. So, according to aerobic respiration, plants or animals take in oxygen to produce what? Energy. Let's look at carbon dioxide. Good. Carbon dioxide, one, is used by plants to prepare their own food through a process called photosynthesis. And of course, the concentration of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere helps trap heat to warm the Earth's surface. Without the trapping of heat, our Earth will now freeze, and life will cease to exist on Earth. And then 3, realize that most fire extinguishers are made up of carbon dioxide. Why? Because carbon dioxide helps to extinguish fire or put out fire. So these are the uses of carbon dioxide. Of course, we have other uses like refrigerants in fridges, etc. Now let's look at water vapor. Water vapor usually condenses high up in the sky to form rain or snow. Then rare gases mostly are used in lamps, water fluorescent or incandescent to give characteristic different colors: yellow, green, blue, white colors. Now, let's move on to the main part of this lesson today. We'd like to conduct an experiment to show that air supports burning or combustion. This is a popular experiment, and you can practice this at home under supervision. In other words, do it not by yourself alone, but have your guidance or parents around. It's very interesting. And at this point, I will be grateful that if you are able to do it, take a snapshot of the beginning and end of the experiment and send it to me, my WhatsApp number, for me to see whether I have done it. It is not compulsory, but I'll be happy if you do it and send it to me. So what are the materials we need? Of course, we need what we call candle, lighter or matches. We also need water, basin or water trough, glass jar. Now this is how the diagram looks like. Let's look at the diagram. Good. So this is the water trough or container. It could be a bowl or whatever, but it should be big enough, containing water. And this is a candle, lighted candle in it, covered with glass jar. This is the end of the experiment. The light, it disappears, and the glass jar is somehow filled with water. So let us go through the procedure and find out why the diagram appears this way. All right. So procedure. 1, the candle is lighted and placed in the basin or the water trough. So that's what we do first. 2, the basin is filled with 1/3 water. So you now fill the basin with some water, but the water shouldn't cover the candle. C, the candle is now covered with an inverted glass jar. We give you your drinking glass. Now this means that the lighted candle, the candle height should be shorter enough to be covered fully by the glass jar. Shouldn't be taller than the glass jar. Now what will you observe after covering the lighted candle with a glass jar? So under observation, we are seeing that the candle blows out. In other words, the flame is extinguished after burning for some time. And another interesting thing you observe is that the water level inside the inverted glass rises to some extent. In other words, water rises to fill some space in the inverted glass jar. Now let's explain with the conclusion. Now we are seeing that the component of oxygen inside the glass will be used up in burning. Let's take note of that. Now by so doing, water will now rise to occupy the space left by the used up oxygen in the glass. That is why the water will rise and fill up some space in the glass jar after the oxygen is fully used up by the glowing candle light. All right. What will be our conclusion? This shows that air, that is oxygen, supports burning. This is very interesting, and again, you can carry this out under supervision and try and take your phone camera and take a snapshot of the beginning of the experiment and the end of the experiment and send it to me to prove to me that you have also done it. Again, it's not compulsory, but I can do it and send it to me through the WhatsApp line. All right. You can summarize our lesson to your daddy or mommy or your sibling for them to know that you have learned something today. All right. For our assignment 19, we are supposed to answer all the questions. Number 1, I. What is air? I. Mention 3 components of air with 1 use each. So any component you mention, make sure you give me 1 use each. And number 2, briefly describe an experiment to show that air supports burning. Use your own words as much as possible and be brief. All right, till we meet again. Bye-bye.